A mountain, 40 men. Around them, 30,000 soldiers. The government sends a message up the slope. Surrender. We will spare your life. No answer. The man they want to kill had helped build this government. He had bled for it. He had been their hero. Now he stands on this mountain, wounded, surrounded. The sun will rise in a few hours. He knows what's coming. For 700 years, the samurai were not soldiers. They were Japan, a class, a code, a way of existing that passed from father to son like blood itself. 2 swords. That was the law. Without them, you were nothing. No rank, no identity, no one. Their own schools, their own districts. State income that never ended. Generation after generation, the same families, the same training, the same purpose. And in this world, a boy grows up. Kagoshima, southern Japan. His name is Saigō Takamori. Not a wealthy family, low rank, but something about him was different. It wasn't his sword, it wasn't his strength, it was his honesty. In a world of political maneuvering, he simply said what he thought. In a world of careful words, he spoke what others only whispered. People trusted him, the way you trust something rare. By 30, he was one of the most powerful men in Japan. He helped organize the Meiji Restoration, the movement that returned the emperor to power after centuries of shogun rule. He fought for it, he bled for it, he won. Japan lay at his feet. And then, Japan changed. The new government looked west. They saw steamships, factories, cannons that made swords meaningless, and they decided Japan must become modern. Quickly, completely, at any cost. Western uniforms replaced traditional clothing. Western rifles replaced bows. Western armies replaced everything. 1876, a law. 3 lines. The samurai class is abolished. Not reformed, abolished. Swords could no longer be worn in public. State stipends, cut. 700 years of history, erased by a signature. Saigo had argued against it. You can modernize without destroying who we are. They ignored him. He resigned. He went home. He opened a school and taught the old ways. 4 years, quietly. But in the south, the anger grew. Former samurai came to him. Men with no income, no purpose, without the only thing they had ever been. They trained. They waited. February 1877. 40,000 men marched north. Saigo at the front. He said later that he didn't start it. The young men rose up and he couldn't abandon them. Whether that's true, we'll never know. Tokyo was prepared. They had been watching Kagoshima. When the rebellion began, they mobilized immediately, but not with samurai. With something new, a conscript army, farmers, merchants, men who had never held a weapon 6 months before, modern rifles, modern artillery, endless ammunition. The first battles shocked both sides. Saigo's men fought with a ferocity no one expected, old training against new weapons. Sometimes, the old training won. But the government had something more important than courage, supply lines. Saigo's men used what they carried. When it ran out, it ran out. 40,000 became 20, then 10, then 5. City by city, the army retreated south. Back to Kagoshima. Back to the beginning. September 1877. 500 men left. Then 300. Then 40. Saigo led them up a mountain he knew well. Shiroyama. He knew what he was doing. Who was Saigō Takamori? Not the symbol. The man. He was tall, powerfully built, eyes that unsettled people because they looked too directly. You stood before him and felt seen. He ate simply. He dressed simply, even when his rank demanded ceremony. He kept dogs, large dogs, his whole life. When he came home, he hunted with them. He wrote about them in letters, more than he wrote about politics. He wrote poetry, classical Japanese verse. Some of it survived. It's not the poetry of a man who loves war. It's the poetry of someone who understood impermanence and found something like peace in it. He was loyal to the point of self-destruction. The men on Shiroyama, many could have surrendered. The government had offered amnesty. Leave, live, you won't be punished. They stayed. Because of him. He distrusted money. He distrusted power. He once wrote, "A man who loves money cannot love his people." Twice he had been exiled by the same government he served for being too honest at the wrong time. Both times they brought him back. Both times they needed him again. This time there was no coming back. 40 men, one mountain. The air is cold. Mist clings to the trees. Below them, campfires flicker like stars fallen to earth. 30,000 points of light, each one a soldier waiting for dawn. They have been surrounded for days. No food left. Almost no ammunition. Written final letters. Saigo sits among them. Calm. Silent. Then, the bombardment begins. Artillery. The ground shakes. Trees splinter and fall. Rocks explode into fragments. Then, silence. And then, the infantry. 30,000 men moving upward through the dark. You can hear them before you see them, boots on stone. Metal clicking against metal. Orders shouted in the distance. In the first minutes of contact, Saigo is hit. Blood soaks into the earth beneath him. The fighting rages around him. Swords against rifles. 40 against thousands. The sound is chaos. Steel. Gunfire. Men screaming. But where Saigo lies, there is stillness. A man named Beppu Shinsuke, his commander, his student, his friend, fought his way through the chaos to reach him. He knelt beside Saigo. He helped him into position. Facing east, toward where the sun would rise, Saigo spoke to him. Quietly. The battle still raged around them, but in that moment there was only the two of them. The exact words are not recorded. Perhaps he said thank you. Perhaps he spoke of home. Perhaps he said nothing that needed to be remembered, only something that needed to be said. Beppu drew his sword. He did what samurai had done for centuries. Kaishakunin, ritual beheading, the final act of mercy between warriors. Death before capture. Beppu stood. He looked down the hill at the army still climbing toward them. Thousands of men, rifles, bayonets. He did not run. He did not hide. He charged. Alone. Down the mountain. Into 30,000 soldiers. They found his body at the base of Shiroyama, sword still in his hand. The remaining men, those who could still stand, followed him. One by one they charged into the darkness. None of them expected to survive. None of them tried to. By sunrise, it was over. Silence on the mountain. The last samurai rebellion had ended. The last time men with swords would ever fight against the Japanese state. 12 years after his death, the government that killed him declared him a hero. They restored his rank. The emperor issued a pardon. For a dead man. Why? Perhaps they finally understood what they had destroyed. Not just a rebel, a type of person. A way of existing that had taken 700 years to create, and could not be restored. A statue stands in Tokyo today, Ueno Park. He wears traditional clothing. His dogs are at his feet. People still leave flowers. The rebellion achieved nothing. Militarily, nothing. The samurai class never returned, but something about him refused to disappear. He became the conscience of a nation that had changed too fast. The memory of what was sacrificed. A standard for how a person should live. His last letter, weeks before the battle, he writes about the autumn weather in Kagoshima, about his dogs, about how beautiful the mountains look this year. Nothing about the rebellion, nothing about death. On clear days you can see across the bay. The volcano Sakurajima. It still erupts sometimes, small tremors, ash in the streets. The mountain remembers nothing, the people remember everything.